If I were to tell you that a man urinated on the high altar of St. Peter's Basilica, you would probably think it's fake news. And that's understandable. Unfortunately, it's not fake news. This is reality, and it has been confirmed. I am going to show edited footage of this. I have censored some parts of the video to not show the nudity that's shown in some of the original footage. But I will show the video just so that people know this is real. It's not fake news. It's not made up. This just happened yesterday. What is concerning, in addition to the sacrilege, the blasphemous nature of the act, is also the silence so far from the Vatican, from Catholic media outlets, from even secular media outlets. It's all over Twitter. Millions of people are saying this. We have real original footage and it has been confirmed, but for some reason, nobody is reporting on it, including the Vatican. And I don't know why. But because of that, there's not a whole lot of information about this person or what his motives were in doing this. And unfortunately, this isn't the first act of desecration that we've seen at St. Peter's Basilica. We've seen many over the years, and about 3 in just the last couple of years. And we're going to talk about what those were in case you haven't seen them. But first, let me show you the footage so you know I am not making this up. Again, it's an edited version. I edited this from the original footage so that it doesn't reveal the nudity that's involved. Absolutely horrible. To me, it almost looked like there was a mass going on at the front altar. Did you see that towards the end? I'll play the clip again. What you saw there was the altar right above the relics of the Apostle Peter in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican, under Bernini's column there. That's the high altar right in the center, right above the bones of the Apostle Peter. Well, in the back, the very back of the basilica, there's another altar. And it looks like mass was going on while this was happening. Take a look again and watch kind of towards the end of the video. All right, now the altar that you saw him urinating on is an altar that was recently also defiled and desecrated by another attacker, as we saw just a couple years ago. But that's the altar that you tend to see popes say mass at, during Christmas or Easter, highly televised masses. It's usually at that altar. And so you can see this as kind of the heart of the Vatican, the heart of the church. You could certainly see that altar as representing, all of Christianity, all of Christendom. And so to engage in this act of blasphemy, to desecrate an altar of all places, the heart of the church, it's extremely offensive. And we're going to talk about what needs to happen in order to reconsecrate that sacred space for future use, which the cardinal who is responsible for St. Peter's Basilica has admittedly had to do recently several times because of similar instances like this. Although this is the first time we've seen a man urinate on the altar. Others have stood on it, tore it down, but this is the first time that we've seen this particular act of profanation. So let me just show you that this has been confirmed. It's not like AI. It's not because I thought surely this is made up video because the Vatican hasn't said anything. Pope Leo hasn't said anything. These Catholic news outlets haven't said anything. I'm left scratching my head. Is this just fake news and AI? Well, no, it's not. It's real. And it's kind of a story of its own as to why the Vatican and others aren't commenting on this when it's been a whole day since this happened. But be that as it may, let me show you again. This has been confirmed by um, news outlets, not news outlets, but um, Bree Dale, who is a Vaticanista correspondent who works for the media and confirms things in Vatican City, and she confirms that a man desecrated the papal altar of St. Peter's Basilica at 9:30 a.m. yesterday morning. Okay, so that's to me doubly shocking. Not only is it shocking that he did this, it's also shocking that it happened. And for some reason, we're only just now hearing about it. And we're still kind of yet to hear anything about it in the news. So he did this yesterday morning by urinating on it in the presence of hundreds of pilgrims. And what I could tell, it looked like there was a priest celebrating liturgy, in the back. And she says Holy Mass was being celebrated. So I don't think it was being celebrated at that altar. I think it was being celebrated at the one behind it, at the altar of the chair. So again, I'm not going to show her footage. That's the one that shows the nudity. So we're going to skip that part. This account is noting that there have been other similar instances, although not urination, in the recent past. It's on October 10th, 2025. A man climbed onto the high altar of St. Peter's Basilica in Vatican City, removed his pants, and urinated on the sacred site during a time when visitors were present before being swiftly removed by security as captured in the video. Although others are reporting that it took a few minutes before the security did anything about it. This marks the third notable desecration of the Basilica's altar in recent years, following a 2023 incident involving a naked intruder and a February 2025 incident where a Romanian man with mental health issues toppled the candlesticks that were on top of the altar, prompting calls for enhanced security measures. Well, I guess those security measures haven't really kicked in yet. Man attacks high altar of St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican in February of 2025, EWTN reported months ago. That was that situation we had previously looked at where he jumped on top of the altar, started kicking everything down. They have yet to report on this new incident. We'll see if they do. We have also seen other acts of desecration happening at St. Peter's Basilica. I've reported on just last month, LGBT Catholics, with the approval of Pope Leo, had an official procession into St. Peter's Basilica with a rainbow cross, LGBT shirts, flags, transgender flags, and LGBT couples holding hands, officially processed into St. Peter's Basilica to celebrate their pride in the heart of the church, with the permission of the Pope and with clearance from the security guards who sat by and allowed all of this to happen. So we've seen multiple acts of desecration to this place, this holy site, the heart of the Vatican, the heart of Christianity. In the 2023 occasion where you had a naked man storm St. Peter's Basilica and defile the altar, they had to reconsecrate it. Here's the cardinal who is over the St. Peter's Basilica, Gambetti, blessing the altar during a penitential rite to kind of reconsecrate it, repurpose it, because it's been profaned. I suspect that's going to have to happen again. The church in canon law talks a little bit about this. Canon 12:11, sacred places are violated by gravely injurious actions done in them with scandal to the faithful. Actions within the judgment of the local ordinary are so grave and contrary to the holiness of the place that it's not permitted to carry on worship in them until the damage is repaired by a penitential rite according to the norm of the liturgical books. So if it's been desecrated, it has to be repaired, it has to be restored. Canon 12:12, sacred places lose their dedication or blessing if they have been destroyed in large part or have been turned over permanently to profane use by decree of the competent ordinary. Or, in fact, to this must be added the norms of the ceremonial of bishops, which describe the public prayers to be made after the desecration of the church. And then they go into what that looks like, what those prayers look like. So there's some articles that I'll post for you that talks a little bit about it. But I suspect, in light of what we're seeing here, that's going to have to happen, because surely they're not going to go and celebrate mass on this altar after it's been urinated on. Surely not. We'll see. I don't know. It's absolutely tragic. It's blasphemous. And it says something about society today. It doesn't respect boundaries. It doesn't respect the sacred. There's just no distinction between that which is profane, that which is sacred, that which is set off for worship to God versus that which is common. You look at the Bible, and especially in the Old Testament, there's that hard line distinction between things that are just set apart for a profane use versus things that are consecrated and set apart for liturgical and worship use, sacred use. That's something that you see within the biblical paradigm, but it seems like it's something that society has lost, especially in the West, the United States, Europe, Italy in this case. Looks like so many people have lost the sense of the sacred and realizing that there are boundaries here. And those boundaries should just not be crossed. Even if one doesn't believe in Catholicism, even if one doesn't believe in the Mass or the Catholic Church, at least have some respect for what others deem to be sacred and special and consecrated. It seems like there's just no respect for that these days. Where are we headed as a society when we lose a sense of the sacred? Where is that leading us to? Is that leading to atheism? Or worse, persecution of all religions? I don't know. It seems like it's going in a very bad direction. And so this is absolutely horrible. And it needs to be condemned. And it needs to be condemned first and foremost by the leaders of the church. I want to hear from Pope Leo on this. I want to hear some clear guidance and condemnation of this from Pope Leo, from the cardinals of the church, from the bishops of the church, from the priests of the church. The leaders need to stand up and say, this is not okay. This is not going to be tolerated. This has to stop, because it continues to happen. It's not the first time. It might be the first time that it was urinated on, but it's not the first time that the altar was desecrated, even within the last few years. Absolutely tragic to see this. I wish I could give you more information on this. I wish I could tell you who this person is, what their motives were, but I can't. Because aside from people sharing the footage on Twitter, we don't have anything. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's reporting on it. Rome hasn't said a word, which again initially made me think, well, maybe this is just made up. Maybe this is AI. But no, it's been confirmed by Vatican correspondence. So maybe we'll hear something about it in the near future. I don't know. It's been a day. Maybe because of the weekend. Maybe we'll hear something soon. And when we do, I'll certainly keep you updated. I would ask that you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so you know when I go live with updates on this story and others. Please also drop your thoughts there in the comment section. And I do want to just briefly make y'all aware of a lecture that I'm going to be delivering in 2 weeks, October 25th, on the topic of papal infallibility. It's actually going to be 2 lectures that I think you're really, really going to benefit from. This is available on my website, rtcourses.com. Go there to check it out. And it's called Understanding Papal Infallibility, Its Nature, History, and Challenges. So if you've ever wondered what is and what is not papal infallibility, and what are some challenges to it, and what is its history, first millennium, second millennium, you're going to want to tune into these. Now, if you can't attend live, that's fine. Once you purchase the course, you'll always have access to it. But if you attend live, you can ask Q&A at the end. And once you purchase that, you'll get access to my Magisterium Studies program, where you get 3 courses that I offer at the university level at a Catholic university that helps you make sense of what the teaching authority of the church is, what the magisterium is, and its history, and how to read magisterial documents. We just saw a new magisterial document from Pope Leo, and it helps you read things like that and to know how authoritative they are and to properly understand it. And, it's already at a discounted price, but if you get that lecture, Understanding Papal Infallibility, after you've purchased it, it'll give you another 30% off the already discounted price for the Magisterium Studies program and bundle. So go ahead and take advantage of that while the offer still lasts. Now, like I said, I'm going to keep y'all up to date with this situation and others that are currently developing in the church, as well as continue to provide you with all sorts of informative, historical, and theological videos, as well as also debates. So, one moment. If you want to be updated with the material that I'm going to be providing, whether it's on biblical studies, theological studies, interreligious dialogue and debates, or what is going on in the news, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also that bell for notification, just so you know when I go live, because I tend to go live out of nowhere. I don't necessarily have a set time when I go live. Just like today, this happened out of nowhere. I just found out about this news, this horrible news. And so I said, we need to go live and we need to talk about this. So sometimes I go live out of nowhere. So hit that bell for notification so you know when I do. All right. We'll see you soon with an update. God bless.